The passion was so much, they can't go to church to fellowship every day. So they bring church to their house. And the ark of the Lord rested upon their house. We had a testimony of our precious brother, Brother Eko. 2 miscarriages. No child was coming forth. And then she took the ark. He took the ark to his house. Opened the house to fellowship. And God's people began to gather in their house to worship the Lord. And according to his testimony, 3 months after, the wife conceived. And we have the baby here. Acts chapter 5 verse 42. And daily in the temple and in every house, they ceased not to teach and preach Jesus Christ. It's not a social gathering. People's passion for God has become so much that they gather together to worship God in their house. That's what happens in a revival. And then in a revival, selfless prayer becomes a norm for the believers, including praying for one another, thereby fulfilling the law of Christ. And that is the law of love that attracts the blessing of God and the favor of God to the believer. Galatians chapter 6 verse 2. The Bible says here, bear you one another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ, the law of love. That is one of the engagements going on in the home cell fellowship that brings the blessing upon God's people. Proverbs 11:25 made it clear that the liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that joins to water others shall also be watered also. These are the engagement in a revival that causes the light to dawn on the believer. And when the light of heaven comes, that light shines in darkness, and darkness will never be able to stand against it. And that's why before the end of this year, there shall be no trace of darkness in your life. For your weakness, there shall be outbursts of grace. Grace attracts glory. And that's why whatsoever looks like a shame in your life will give way for heaven's glory. Before the end of this year, you shall manifest the proofs of revival. And the glory of God shall be your portion. So if you are a believer in this church and you are not a part of home cell fellowship, it's good you know what you are missing so that you can correct yourself and key into the blessing. I always tell people that the church of Jesus is a body. The church of Jesus is a family. If you are too proud or arrogant or too big to identify with God's family, the blessing that flows in the